Hello everyone, Gunter here, and welcome back to another episode of Gunter Talks. No, seriously. And I do want to apologize for not being able to upload the last episode last week. My mind was racing through different parts of my everyday life, and also been playing a lot of Apex, which is both a good thing and kind of one of the main reasons why I haven't uploaded a YouTube slash podcast episode yet. But I'm back, and hopefully we can try to get this thing going as smoothly as possible. Now, our next topic today is fighting games. Why did I say it like that? Because my brain was malfunctioning. And this also is because it's pretty late at night, me recording this. I didn't get a chance to do it this past couple of days. I wanted to do it, but I had to do it tonight, or else I wouldn't be able to do it at all again this week. So, okay. So, fighting games. What's special about them? Why do I like them? What's my role in the FGC? Do I have a role in the FGC? Am I a big top gamer? Am I living it up? Am I one of the best known players out there? No, I am not. I'm just a dude that genuinely likes fighting games. Before I even realized it was like a long time ago that I started playing fighting games. That I was just straight up playing the game just for funsies. It was only super late in the part of the fighting game history coming out or being structured that I decided I actually wanted to compete in tournaments and do more with the community and whatnot. So let me go in a little bit more in depth because this needs to fill the running time of 30 minutes or more. So back in the day when I was a kid, I played on the Super Nintendo of Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And that was like one of my very first fighting games I've ever played. And also on the Super Nintendo, as far as fighting games is concerned, I played Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat 3, and I believe there's one other fighting game that. But generally, those are the three main fighting games that I played back when I was a kid. Is button mashing, and I realized that, especially in Street Fighter, that I was able to do the Hadouken really well. I was doing a Hadouken at one side, and I couldn't do it on the other side. And when I would jump forward and be on the other side, I couldn't. I still did the motion, but it was core circle back instead of core circle forward. And I realized when I was doing a kick, I could do the spin kick thing. So that's where I learned how to do Hadoukens and the hurricane kicks for Ryu and Ken. And then after a while, when I played with Chun-Li and Blanca and all the other characters, I knew that button mashing helped with certain attacks. I had these other special moves, and that blew my mind for a good chunk of time. And yeah, that was basically most of my childhood of me playing Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, and Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo. And after that, grew a little older. I was mainly into racing games growing up as a kid, so I wasn't really super into fighting games. I still like playing them, but I was really into racing games, like super into racing games. I played try not to go off topic too much with this topic, but I played Gran Turismo up to 3, and then eventually started playing Project R Racing for the GameCube when I was in high school, and started learning to do manual shift on the controller and stuff like that. And yeah, I was mainly a racing game junkie back in the day. But after a while, it was in 2011, I started seeing the fighting game, um, my fighting game genre like grew in a way that I didn't expect, because that was after Street Fighter 4 came out, and Super Street Fighter 4 had, I think, just released or released a little afterwards. And I was at my college dorm, just hanging out, and they had this thing where they bring in games. They had a game night where people brought their game systems down into the little main hall, and played video games. And lo and behold, my particular dorm happened to had fighting games for uh, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Super Street Fighter 4, Blaze Blue Continuum Shift, and what was, I think there was a Third Strike. There was someone that brought in Third Strike at that point, and I was like, "Oh, this is an interesting, weird Street Fighter. What the heck is that?" And then I was mainly focused on Street Fighter 4, because that was my first time ever seeing my Street Fighter characters like in 3D. I was blown away. I literally was about 7 years, no, 5 years. It was about 5 years of me not totally into the fighting game scene, not knowing how it changed, not knowing it. I didn't know 3 came out. So I was like, 4, when did 3 came out? And I didn't realize that 3 was Third Strike, and then the other games before then. So that was a big eye opener for me. And I enjoyed learning that there's people with arcade sticks doing some crazy stuff. And I was like super fascinated that I was like, you know what? I want to see. I played fighting games since I was a kid. I want to see if I can kind of still remember how to do this. And it took me a good while to get to where I am now. I mainly played on controller because I didn't have a stick, and eventually, when I actually asked to borrow one of my friends that was in college, I was like, "Can I see how that feels like, or something, just a little bit? I ain't gonna try not to mess it up too much. Just want to see how it feels." He was like, "Yeah," and he let me use it, and I was like, "This is amazing to have this feeling in my lap." And that was the day that I decided to buy an arcade stick. Saved up my money, bought myself an $80 stick. It is the Hori. Because afterwards I saved up to get an Xbox 360, and that's where I first got Street Fighter 4 and Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger, the first one. And after that, I got an arcade stick, $80 one. It was on Hori, I think, Arcade Pro EX, or forgot. It was a EX2, something like that. But it wasn't the real. It wasn't the wrap, or it wasn't wrap anything. The real Arcade Pro. It wasn't none of that. That was much later. But I did have that, and I was learning how to play on that, and it helped me get used to the controls of a stick pretty well. And then afterwards, I saved up even more, got myself a Kwamba. It was the one that was compatible. I think it was Q. I forgot the actual name of it, but it was one that was compatible for 360, PS3, and PC. It was able to go between 3 of those systems. So I was managing, like, I'm in a place where there's a lot of people bringing different type of systems, and I want to see if I can play on all of them. So I bought this stick for that purpose. and it lasts me a good while until the power USB cable started to mess up, and instead of researching to realize that I could have gotten a replacement for that because it simply disconnected from the PCB and just connect a new one, I didn't do that. I saved up to get another stick, which is the stick I'm currently using today, the Ori Real Arcade Pro 4, the Rep 4. And this stick has really lasted me a good year, a good chunk of time. I think over at least 5 years or 6 years. So yeah, that stick has been through thick and thin, and it just recently got some customizable stuff on it. New buttons, new stick, new lever, new artwork, which is the first time I've ever done artwork on anything for a stick. And yeah, just basically make sure that stick has lasted me through most of my time playing fighting games. And yeah, it was a good time. Being part of learning how to play fighting games was a struggle, but it was a fun struggle. Like, it wasn't too like disappointing or disheartening. It was still fun being able to fight people that were clearly played it way more than I did, because again, I kind of started early in this. I mean, not early, late. It started late in this, and yeah, it took me a good while, but I still persevered. I still tried my best, and eventually I was able to kind of hold my own and do some decent stuff. But now, as far as the FGC is concerned, that took a bit of a late start as well. I was at my local arcade scene here in San Antonio, and yeah, I was kind of nervous just getting out of the house and just meeting people that I haven't known or meet, and just like I racked up the courage to go to the arcade and just say, hey, I saw this thing on Facebook that you do meetups, fighting games. Is there a way I can get in on it? And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And that was a really big part of me being part of the FGC. And yeah, it was a big moment, because after that I started to learn how tournament structure works. Learned how I learned how different play styles work. I know like how certain people have certain mindsets when playing fighting games now, and how it differentiates from mine, and how it could also be the same as mine and stuff. It's just so interesting to see, and being able to like do all that stuff, and also learning a bit of behind the scenes of how tournaments work, and how just how everything works as far as like running a tournament, and like probably streaming a tournament and stuff like that. And yeah, that was a really big moment in me, just like eventually figuring out like how much more I want to be part of this community. And that led to me, I think a year or so ago, me wanted to pick up commentary. So I decided to do a bit of commentary for our local tournaments, and I was just saying random stuff. Didn't really know how the structure went, but I just kept on going and just did what I felt natural, what felt was natural. And yeah, just me just talking and just rambling like I am right now, but no clear structure until eventually I saw more commentary um, of footages and seeing how people do their stuff and how things kind of did how they did their thing. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to see how it's supposed to feel and sound and how engaging it should be, or at least how it felt like it should be. So eventually I started to do more, and um, I managed to, I think last year, I managed to create a demo reel, which I will need to plan to make more um, uh, sometime before the end of this year, because I do want to see if I can, when all this is said and done, I want to see if I can do more opportunities with commentary, and and that led to me uh, being part of a fighting game FGC Discord known as the Shimmy Network. Who, if you don't know, they are a fighting game Discord. I'll leave their Discord into the description. It basically just a big hangout for people who want to learn how to play fighting games, or just want to play fighting game matches with other players. Most of the players do mainly play Street Fighter, but we do have a good chunk of people that play other fighting games like anime, 3D, you name it. It's just we have a good variety of people playing in this community. I mean, in this Discord. And I went into Discord a while ago. I think I was recommended by Shock himself, our actual Shock Beast, and he said, "Hey, you want to check out this community?" And I was like, "I'm sure, why not?" I did that, and then after being there for over 6 months, I was like, you know what? I want to see if I can actually help out and try to gain my commentary experience. And I told him like, hey, Grand Blue recently came out. Like this was in around close to June, and I was like, hey, Grand Blue's been out for a good while. If you're planning on doing any tournaments for it, just let me know. I've been playing it a bit myself. I kind of know the ins and outs. I'm willing to do some commentary for you guys if you want. And because I know they were thinking about planning to do it, they announced it's like, oh, we're gonna try to plan the the tournament and stuff. Just trying to make sure everything is on the up and up. And I told him like, hey, I want to do commentary if you ever decide to do the tournament. Just let me know. And Shock let me know big time because he said, hey, why don't you host our tournament? And I was like, a host? I've never hosted a tournament in my life up until this point. I never hosted anything. And he was like, oh, well, it won't be as crazy. We're going to be there to help you out if you have any questions about hosting. And I was like, oh, okay. Let me do my research. Let me figure out how things go for you guys and possibly other ones and see how I can integrate my own flair to it. Because back then, this when I was streaming with my PS4, so I was like, I know a couple of people here that do stream on the PS4, so let me see how they do it. So I saw how they did it, and it was basically just them just doing commentary and telling people to go into what match and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I feel like I got this pretty well, and I also got help from one of our one of the members, and yeah, hosted the tournament and back in June, and it went really well. We got a couple of known players that came by and competed. And after that tournament, I became one of the reps for TSN, and I'm still a rep. And that was a fun time. And I realized that I really wanted to really try and be a part of the community, not mainly just be a top player tournaments, but give an entertaining experience for people as well as players, um, to see how cool this fighting games are, and just show them the awesome fun times that I had watching, um, watching people do their insane high level tech on on the stage, and through the tournament brackets, and that's what I wanted to do. Um, Now, currently, I haven't hosted a tournament in between 2 months or so, and I'm trying to plan on, especially with my new stream setup, I'm gonna try and plan on doing that again. Um, and hopefully, we can try to do it this month on October, um, so that we can actually try to get back in the game of streaming tournaments, because I kind of missed it. I miss doing that, and I want to get back into it. Yeah, that's basically me and my history of fighting games. Now, my thoughts on fighting game, um, the FGC as a whole. It definitely has its up and downs. It definitely has things to where like it definitely has high moments of like seeing how awesome players can be as far as like playing the game, and also being very kind to let new players come in and figure out how this whole genre works and stuff like that. And then there are other times where it shows kind of like the, well, I probably it's probably weird to say dark side of the FGC, but I feel like in most communities and fandoms, there's always a dark side. Like there's always a weird, like hidden thing that probably didn't realize that is like very crazy and stuff that you probably wouldn't want to know, or just like if you did know, you would just remember that bad part only, and just forget all the awesome things that the community is known for, and just focus on that bad thing. And it happened with this community a couple times, and a big hit happened very recently about most players or certain developers, um, and it's just, I mean, it's a sad moment to have it hit so hard as far as like what's happened to certain players, or just um what um what what this person thinks and stuff like that. And yeah, it was kind of rough trying to go through all that stuff for those couple months, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I stopped um hosting, was because my brain was kind of somewhat mentally trying to unravel that and try to break away from that. So yeah, all I can say is that the FGC will heal. It might take a lot longer than most people would expect, but I feel like it's going to heal, because I do know there's a good chunk of members of this community that is willing to try to make this a bit better, and hopefully to make it more enjoyable for, or still make it enjoyable or more enjoyable for people coming in or people that have already been in. Yeah, that's mainly what I have to say about that particular situation. And I feel like that is all I can say. And it was another short stream. I barely got 30 minutes out of this. But yeah, I feel like this is a good stopping point. So yeah, like I said, the FGC is awesome. I love fighting games. I still still want to try to host tournaments, and definitely do some more commentating activities or opportunities once everything here in this current situation that we're in is hopefully lifted within a year or so. Because I know it's not going to happen overnight. just gotta have patience and make sure things go all right. But I'm really hoping that I'll be able to go back and meet meet players in a tournament. Because I can talk about one of my first ever experiences seeing going to a major tournament. Texas Showdown. Texas Showdown of last year was my very first tournament that I ever or a major tournament that I ever participated in. And that was one of the greatest experience ever. Just for the fact that being able to see all the different professional players out and doing their thing and seeing how their mind structure works, or just them just casually hanging out and stuff, just it was a big pressure feeling presence, and it was nice to just go out and see these professional players do their thing, and also seeing like the behind the scenes of the commentary and people running the tournaments and stuff, and just looking at that as like, man, this is crazy how they able to get it going so well and organized and stuff like that. And it was just really awesome to see. So yeah, that was a fun experience. It was the only bad thing about that particular tournament, or the situation about that tournament, was that it rained a lot. It was like a hurricane that was passing through in Houston, and the rain. I managed to be able to drive from San Antonio to Houston before the rain super hit, but once I got to Houston, it kind of did, and the when I was on the highway, the exits of the highways were almost blocked off by a pool of flooding water, and I had to try to go around and find a clear exit so that I can go to my hotel safely. And that happened one or two times while I was there. Like the next day, it was super sunny. It was you barely can tell that a storm passed through, stuff like that. Like you can see like there was still a couple floods, but it wasn't as big as it was that night. And then after that, it was like the second day, that Saturday, it rained again, and it rained so hard that part of the hotel roof was caving in and just started collapsing a certain part of the hotel. And I literally saw the rain pouring in. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna turn around and hopefully this whole hotel doesn't cave in on us. So that was an experience over there. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about my experience with the FGC right now. I don't have anything to say. We're pretty much about to reach the 30-minute mark, and yeah, tune in next week. Hopefully I can try to get a different topic in, because those were like the main three topics. The main four topics I want to talk about for this particular podcast, and I'll try to see if I can find something else. Yeah, it could be I may have to watch an old series that I haven't seen, or just go through something else that may have caught my fancy. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this particular episode. But thank you guys so much for coming by and checking out this video, or this episode. And check out the previous episodes if you guys want to check out what I have to say about Caddyshack, VTubers, or just me in general. So check out those videos, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys.